Hello there, right here guys. We have a brand new snapshot for 1.20 and the first pre-release for 1.19.4 pre-release 1. This means they're going to come out with the official full release of 1.19.4 pretty soon, and during this pre-release phase, we will be getting quite a few of them, and not always just on Wednesdays, where they'll be constantly tweaking different bugs, getting ready to have the release candidates before coming out with the full release. Now 1.19.4 will have a lot of these different changes that we talked about over the course of these many months, but it won't include the new 1.20 stuff. So we'll probably see the full release of this version in a couple of weeks, where 1.20 full release will probably come near the summer. This is because despite most of the features already being in the game, there's a lot of things they wanted to get working just right before they actually come out with the full release. So if you have feedback on like the sniffers, their seeds, cherry blossom biomes, and archaeology, be sure to go ahead and give them feedback, because as soon as they get everything working properly, we can go ahead and get the full release. Now in this snapshot, they fixed a few of the unusual things I found in this video here, where answer everyone's deepest questions about the newest items and mobs. I'll put that in the description if you want to check it out later, but let's get into all the new changes, so be sure you guys are subscribed and leave a like. We got some new changes to the create a new world menu. You can see now we actually got these nice distinct tabs at the top and everything being centered well. To play the snapshots, you still need to remember to click in here and then to turn on the 1.20. Then just click done, and then improve the performance of starting new worlds. Now if you happen to open any of your previous worlds in version 23W07A, they won't actually work in any future versions. So if you say, I know what I'm doing, then this arrow will pop up if you're using the 1.20 data packs. Even if you click safe mode, nothing actually happens. This is why it's good to always have backups of your worlds in case something happens. You can always go to a previous version and move stuff around so you can continue playing. Now going to our resource packs, there is a new one that is in the game by default. It's called High Contrast. Enhance the UI contrast of Minecraft built in. Let's go ahead and add it, then hit done. It'll load up. Holy muggers, look at that. It's very distinctive. Now currently this type of high contrast is only available here in the menu, but they are saying that they will add it to other places like different UIs in the future. This might remind you like the high contrast you can find on Microsoft Windows. Personally, I don't really like this. It's just a little bit too harsh on my eyes. Maybe if I get old and my eyesight goes bad, this would be really nice. It changed the crafting recipe of doing a brush for archaeology. Now it takes a stick, a piece of copper, and a feather. This is actually what I and others thought the crafting recipe might be based off the image, because this looked like a piece of wood, this looked like a piece of copper in the center, and it looked like some feathers in the end and not string. When the old crafting recipe was like this, which literally looked like a string pickaxe. This might mean it's a bit harder to get the brush, as you would have to do a little bit of mining to get that copper. It's also possible to now find the decorative pot as its default form in the creative menu when crafting. Types you'll still have to manually put in the different shards. The image itself also looks like it got updated. So depending on what you actually have on the side of the pot, like we have a person over here, it looks like a person shows up in the pot on the side as an item. So now you can tell your different pots apart if you have several of them in your inventory. Back in 1.7 and 1.8, when they introduced the glint that came with potions, it made some potions hard to tell apart. Look at these potions, how you can easily tell them apart, where afterwards they look very similar. So they changed the colorings to make them look more distinct. Now something I talked about previously is that when they added a glint meter in, meaning how much glint you can see on armor pieces, it also affected the glint on items such as like the golden apple and the enchanted apple, where the glint is so faded that you can't see it at all on the enchanted one, despite the glint strength setting being put to max. So now you have more control on how much glint you want to show up on items. So we can now see these changes to the glint. And if we go here into our settings, the glint strength has been set to a default of 75%. So now when it comes to the glint, there's actually two different types of glint. One glint that shows up on entities and one that shows up on items. This also lets you customize the glint that you see on entities versus what you see on an item. So now the glint on items is more prominent, but because the glint was obscuring the actual images of the different types of potions and what type they are based off of the color, they decided to remove the glint altogether on potions. I'm really glad they did this because for the longest time, it was very difficult to tell the difference between them just by looking at them. They resolved an issue to do with skulk sensors. When you would eat and finish some food, not only would the skulk sensor detect the player finishing the food and put out that signal, but also detect the player finishing using an item, which would have a stronger signal strength, causing the eating food to never show up. So now to overcome this problem, when you would finish food, it would produce the food one, where when a player finishes an interaction such as releasing a shield, it's now going to have a lower strength of 2 instead of 14, and that way it can actually be read. We also got a new type of execute command where you can execute positioned over. With it, you can determine the highest point in a column of blocks based off some criteria, such as where the world's surface is, which is any non-air block, motion blocking, which is any type of block that would stop the player from moving, so ignore stuff like non-colliding stuff, flowers and grass, motion blocking leaves, which is similar to the one above, except it doesn't include leaves, and ocean floor, which is blocks that stop you from moving that aren't fluids. This could potentially let people like map makers teleport players around relative to different types of terrain. For technical changes, they also updated the resource packed version and have new tags for damage type called bypass cooldown, so you can take damage very quickly, a new entity tag type, so entities don't take fall damage. Torchflower seeds as well as plants got some improvements, like being able to tap chickens and parrots with them. So normally you can make stew like this, and you can add a flower to make it suspicious stew, which will give you special effects. But now they added torchflower as an item that can be used to make suspicious stews. Let's go ahead and give that a try. And let's see what potion effects it actually gives us. Let's go ahead and eat that. Oh, it gives us night vision, and it looks like it's only a short period, just like the other types of suspicious stews. Now, we already have some suspicious stews that give us night vision, so I guess this is just another option. Would be nice if they give it a unique effect. What effect do you think the torchflower should give? Night vision does kind of make sense though, because it's called a torchflower. So like it gives you the ability to kind of see in night, similar to like holding a torch. But the torchflowers themselves don't actually put off any light, and this has been highly requested, so I really wish they would add this into the game. Adding in these really niche properties to special blocks would make them really cool, rather than having just like tons of different types of flowers in the game or tons of different types of foods. They should have unique abilities so people actually use them. Bees will now treat them as flowers, going towards them when the player holds them, as well as pollinating. Now when using these seeds on farmland, you get a seedy place, which is advancement for planting a seed. The sound of breaking a torchflower that's just been grown up on farmland is a different noise than breaking one that was placed down. Now torchflowers will be considered a crop with the hashtag crops. So the torchflower will have the hashtag flower, like other flowers. Since the torchflower is a seed, it wasn't with the other seeds, so they moved it up here. The hitboxes, the areas where you can actually click to break stuff, was different depending on if you grew up a torchflower versus one you planted down. You see, this one used to be thin and this one was wide. So now they made them both the same. They also fixed this bug that I reported, where when you go to pick block a torchflower that you placed down, it would switch your inventory to the torchflower that you have in hand. But if you do a similar thing to the one that you planted, it was actually switching to the seed. So now I should always switch to the flower. Cherry tree things also got some changes. The logs can now be used to make campfires. The cherry leaves will now be considered hashtag flowers like other ones. Saplings are now considered hashtag saplings, so you can find them with the rest. Leaves are also part of the hashtag leaves, as well as complete find tree tutorial, which is used to progress players along. Cherry logs will now be able to be cooked into charcoal when before they couldn't, as well as having them be used as fuel. Their logs have also been added with the hashtag logs, just like the other ones. Because you could get saplings from trading a wandering trader, it's possible to get these saplings without actually having the 1.20 snapshots enabled, which has been fixed. On our server, we couldn't use the locate command to actually find the new cherry blossom biomes, and this was actually a bug to do with servers. It has now been fixed. After watching this video, I welcome you to join us playing in our testing world, as the server is open 24/7, usually in the latest snapshot. It's open to all my viewers, and I play on it during my live streaming, which I do every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. The cherry biome's pink petals also got improvements, so they work like other flowers. It made pink petals instant mine, when before you had to mine a little bit before they would actually break. And pigs will now spawn inside the cherry blossom biome. Sniffers also got quite a few changes. Sniffer digging noise won't be able to be heard so far away now, because the sniffer's head would stick out so much farther than the actual hitbox, which is being used to determine if the player can see it. If you turn away from it, its head would just vanish from your screen. So now they have it so you could actually render the sniffer even if you're looking almost completely the opposite direction. In some cases, the sniffer's head wouldn't render, as you can see in this one here. When sniffers are trying to climb up a block, they no longer jump multiple times. Now when you breed two sniffers together, this will actually help you get the advancement, the 2x2 advancement, for breeding 2 of every single breedable mob. Sniffers weren't properly swimming when put in water. The sniffer spawn egg also got tweaked, so it doesn't look too similar to the other ones we have in here. They're kind of reddish, similar to like the salmon egg. Unlike other mobs, sniffers weren't rotating their heads to look at players. When they fall and take fall damage, they would no longer panic like they got hit by somebody. This similar panic problem was also fixed for camels, frogs, and goats. They also added so camels will actually follow the player when they're holding their favorite food, even if they're sitting. And they now will also stand up when they're in love mode, instead of to continue to sit. Camel sound will also be controlled by the friendly creature sound. When riding camels over water, they'll continue to bounce over the water quite high above it. With the recently added ride command, they also fixed a few issues, including desyncs, player riding too high above ender dragons, and similar thing on phantoms. An issue that I run into once in a while, which is ghost blocks occurring with hoppers. In this case, it had to do with placing a hopper on top of a jukebox that was being powered. For one player, it looked like the hopper was there, but for other players, it looked like it was missing. They also fixed the bugs of Axolotls now once again given regen and advancement, and also a couple different types of crashes. Now come join my live stream and play with me, or check out this playlist, everything else we know about 1.20, or this one about new 1.20 farms I've already designed. We're getting so close to 6,000 followers on Twitter. If you guys have a Twitter, be sure to follow me at RaysWorks. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.